Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, our group will be presenting a review of an article titled The Religious Practice of Deaf Muslim in Malaysia, a case study at the Special Education School.
Introduction about authors. There are 3 authors in this article. Firstly, Professor Dr. Abdul Hakim Mohad is currently employed at the Faculty of Leadership and Management at USIM and has published over 40 journal articles. Additionally, Dr. Rosaiza Muhammad Mokhtar is also a faculty member at the Faculty of Leadership and Management at USIM. She has conducted research on religious studies related to traditional belief and religious practices among the deaf and has published over 80 journal articles. Lastly, Professor Dr. Nizaita works at the Faculty of Contemporary Islamic Education at UNIZA in Terengganu. She has published 18 books in various fields and 14 journals. Next, the content review of the article. Firstly, the purpose of the study. The article aims to explore the religious practices of deaf Muslims in Malaysia, particularly emphasizing the impact of deafness on their understanding and practice of Islam. Secondly, the concept study is a case study conducted at a special school that focuses on the experiences of deaf Muslims in participating in the religious practices. The study examines the challenge faced by the deaf in carrying out religious practices and suggests ways to improve the understanding of religious practices. Thirdly, the aim of the study was to investigate the development of understanding of the religious practices of deaf Muslims and examine how hearing loss affects their ability to carry out these practices. Fourthly, theory. This study focuses on the theory of visual spatial intelligence and how it relates to deaf. We rely on their visual senses and sign language to receive information. Secondly, the writer suggests that using teaching methods that emphasize visual strengths can make religious education more interesting. This is because individuals who are deaf may have better spatial awareness and visual memory.
Next, methodology. Firstly, the researcher used a survey. In order to gather data for this study, a questionnaire is used as the primary data collection tool in surveys. Secondly, by using an interview to elicit more detailed information, while from the other article by Abdul Nasir 2022 used library research such as journal to study the dominance of deaf women. Next, result. According to the result of this study, there are analyses performed on deaf people. They have a positive outlook on religious studies. Next, the majority of respondents, 67.5%, perform prayer every day. However, many of them pray but are unable to complete their prayer because they still cannot recite the Surah Al-Fatiha. They are also unable to engage in other focused religious practice like fasting and prayer. Furthermore, critical review. Firstly, what is the main issue raised or expressed by the writer? The main issue raised is to find out to what extent the deaf community dominates religion. It is because for the deaf community who are Muslim, they need to learn and understand the religion to perform the religious obligations and teachings. One of these is the delivery and teaching of Fardu Ain, which is individual obligation, which also includes difficulties with Al-Quranic interpretation, attending to Friday sermons, performing the Hajj in Mecca, and other obstacles. Secondly, is the issue interesting and why? In our opinion, yes, it is interesting. It is because usually we know that deaf people can communicate with us by using sign language, but to make them know how to do in religious matters is very important. They must obey Allah's command to the best of their abilities because Islam is not a burdensome or inconvenient religion. Thirdly, are the issue raised or expressed by the writer relevant to you as a researcher? In our opinion, this issue is very relevant because they are also ordinary people like us. The only difference is their ability to listen. For example, they know how to read Al-Fatiha but cannot hear it and don't know if the reading is right or wrong. So the issue of religious practice in daily life is really important to take care of it.
Fourthly, do you agree to the steps suggested by the writers to ensure that the deaf community does not grow up in all fields? Yes, we agree with the steps that the writer suggests. Facilitate the participation of the deaf in religious practices, such as using visual aids and sign language, as they rely primarily on their visual senses. Next, having educators who can use sign language and providing more resources like VCDs on religious practices in sign language. Fifthly, Do you agree or disagree with the results of the study? We agree with the result of the research. The deaf perform religious practices well and have a positive attitude toward religious studies. However, improvements are necessary for areas like reciting the Al-Fatiha, performing mandatory cleansing, and other specific religious practices. The findings show ineffective communication with the deaf causes neglect of their welfare, including in religious matters. Lastly, can this article change or have an impact on the way you think about the problem raised in the article? Yes, this article has successfully changes our perspective. As religious students, we must lead this community in learning about Islam. Next, due to the scarcity of individuals' profession in sign language, the deaf is often overlooked in various aspects of life and miss up opportunities to fully deaf into religious life. Therefore, is it our responsibility to deliver Islamic teachings to them through the most appropriate method?
Last but not least, the conclusion of this article. The deaf are a unique group that needs assistance from everyone in carrying out their daily activities, including their religious duties. There is a lot of potential for improvement they need to do, especially in areas like prayer and fasting that come under the category of Fardu Ain, which is individual obligation. There are many ways we can help the deaf, such as providing training and guidance classes for the deaf so that they are not neglected in terms of religion. Empowering ourselves to learn sign language extensively to make it easier for us to understand their language, as well as helping the daily life of the deaf.